Hello, welcome to another edition of Crop Life Retail Week. I'm Eric Sfiligoj, editor of Crop Life and Crop Life Iron magazines, here with Lara Sowinski. Lara, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. I didn't know that I left, but
Again, as much, for those who've been watching our videos and who've been out and about in the world, shall we say, they've probably seen me at an event or 5 or 12. Yeah, I almost seem like I should be starting out this conversation saying, yeah, Lara, since I talked to you last on my trips, I met someone, we got married, then we got divorced, but our child is doing great and they just graduated from college and now have 3 kids of their own. So but again, it's just funny to me that when you're on the road, how time sort of accelerates, shall we say, because it's like, I blink and I'm getting to an event, and then the event takes place, and then I blink and I'm on my way home, and then I'm then sitting back making retail week again, and I'm like, didn't we just do this yesterday? But it's actually been a week. So
yeah, I was hoping maybe you would do a luggage review for us, being that
well, I've actually had a combination of flying and driving trips, which will come up later in the video, hint, hint. So, but right now I will at least tease the event I was at this week. I happened to be in Indianapolis, Indiana, great city, visiting with my friends at the Mid-America Crop Life Association. They had their annual meeting, and that was a great event. And I apologize to our viewers. I'm still digging through my notes since I just got home couple hours ago as we're recording this video. So I promise next week I will have some highlights of who spoke and what was said. But I did want to give a shout out to one of the awards handed out at the event. The folks at MACA hand out something called the Ambassador of the Year Award. Now they have a program called Ag Academy, which used to be called Crop Life Ambassador Network, where they go about having folks go out and basically teach about agriculture and agricultural practices to school-age children, kindergarten through 8th grade. And this year, the winner of the Ambassador of the Year Award was actually the program coordinator, Michelle Kelper. So she is a member of the MACA staff and has been there for several years, a good friend of Crop Life. So we're giving her a shout out and a picture on the screen, along with her nice plaque showing that she was the Ambassador of the Year Award winner. So our congratulations to Michelle from everyone here at Crop Life.
Super cool. Congrats.
Yeah. So, hey, I guess you have some big news to share, given what we've kind of, I don't know, talked about for, geez, it must be like a year and a half now. We've sort of talked about this one issue, but it sounds like we may finally be at a finish line. So if you will, Miss Lara, take it away.
Thank you. Yeah, indeed. August 31st, announcement came through that the ILWU, International Longshore and Warehouse Union, and Pacific Maritime Association, the two parties that have been negotiating for 13 months on the U.S. West Coast labor at the ports. So they announced last week that they have reached an agreement. Huge sigh of relief from shippers, the ports, all those who have freight that transit through the west coast, which is a lot. So this new agreement will go until July 1st, 2028. Some of the highlights of what was agreed to, and this covers 80,000 dock workers, or excuse me, no, I take that back. The 80,000 dock workers are those that are under the International Longshoremen's Association, which incidentally, their contract, and that's East Coast and Gulf Coast. And so that contract expires next September. Historically, the ILWU West Coast has been a little more sticky. They tend to get into the little kerfluffles a little more frequently than the ILA. However, the ILA is already kind of signaling that they're going to be a little more aggressive on these negotiations. So good news, West Coast is settled. However, ILA is ramping up for their contract talks. I'm sorry, I don't have the stats on what was agreed to, but the pay raise, if I recall correctly, was 32% for the longshoremen, and they actually made quite a few gains. So good news. Thankfully, we've been talking. I mean, those negotiations, I think, Eric, have been ongoing for the past 13 months.
Yeah. I know we've been talking about it a lot on videos, and I know I, for one, will be happy not having to spell out longshoremen and as I'm doing descriptors for our videos, because that is not a word that is easily, that doesn't, I don't write it very often, so it just, my fingers don't quite follow the lettering just right. So more information, I'm sorry, viewers, than you needed, but
yeah, no, well, so that's good. Good for you as well. I know you're sharing that. A couple other news items, and this has been on the national news as well. Drought and the effects on the Panama Canal, vessels transiting the canal, which it's a sizable amount of global trade, of course. And so restrictions on transits were placed on the Panama Canal about a month or so ago, and the rainy season is just about coming to an end, and thus far still what water levels have not been replenished enough to support what would be the typical vessel traffic through the canal. So Panama Canal Authority is saying that the vessel restrictions will remain in place for the remainder of this year, and will stay in place for next year as well. In fact, unfortunately, they're expecting that next year may even be worse in terms of rainfall. So that's not good. Not only is it impacting rates, but the transit times. A lot of like Asia to U.S. East Coast will transit through the canal. So some carriers have been taking alternate routes, like through the Suez Canal. Obviously, longer transit time if you're leaving Asia, like China, for instance, going to U.S. East Coast. So not good news on that front. Likewise, and perhaps maybe a little more important for our readers, USDA is talking about the low water levels on the Mississippi River, which are impacting grain, and in particular corn and soybean harvests, which we're right in that season right now. So USDA, as well as some highlights from our friends over at Supply Chain Dive. Low water rates are, of course, already driving up some barge rates on the Mississippi. In particular, spot rates at St. Louis hit $23.34 per ton on August 29th, which is 49% higher than the prior week and 85% above the 3-year average. And that's from the USDA. Again, barge shipments are being restricted. The flow of goods, likewise, is being impacted. So what they're saying is conditions right now on the Mississippi are pretty much what they were last fall, when a lot of the traffic, quite frankly, was just came to a screeching halt. Water levels at St. Louis are, excuse me, down just about 3 feet as of September 5th, compared to a low of negative 3.62 feet last December. The US Geological Survey says levels have plummeted more than 20 feet since May, with little precipitation in the forecast. So let's see, I'm looking for a forecast here, what they expect. Actually, nothing that looks encouraging. Again, kind of a bummer. Delays on the Mississippi last year which again coincided with U.S. corn and soybean harvests raised barge rates as much as 400% above average last October. And that's from the Bureau of Transportation Statistics. So I don't know, you guys getting rain out there? How's this gonna?
I was going to say we've had an inordinate amount of rain this summer. I mean, it has been incredibly wet. I mean, I know in a lot of summers, I end up mowing lawn every 2-3 weeks because, it's so hot and dry. It's not growing much, but this year, every 7 days, I've had to mow. So yeah, I think we're a couple of inches of rain ahead of our norm for this time of year. So we'd be more than happy to send some of this excess moisture down to the Gulf and to the Mississippi and to Panama, and if we could figure out a way to do it. So
yeah. So those are from the transportation desk, if you will. Those are the news highlights from this past week.
Okay, well, let's see what I can do to follow up upon some of that news. Actually, I ran across an item. Again, this is the time of year, of course, we're getting ready for fall harvest, and people are starting to look at projected net farmer income. And I ran across an item USDA put out a couple of days ago, basically saying the projection right now for 2023 is for net farmer income to be at $141.3 billion, which again sounds like a very big number. And this is one of those bad news, good news scenario. The bad news is that's actually down from $183 billion in 2022 because of some lower commodity prices and higher input costs for growers. But on the good news side, the report did point out that over the last 3 years, since 2021, that net farmer income has averaged $39 billion ahead of the 10-year average for each of those 3 years.
Wow,
again, yeah, I mean, growers may be making a little less money this year than last, but overall, 39 billion ahead of the 10-year average. It's nothing to sneeze at. So bottom line is the grower community is still making some money, which is a good thing.
Good. That's great. Good deal.
Yeah. So one other thing before we dive into our favorite segment of the show, this is the time of year, of course, I've been sending out the Crop Life 100, and this is the special 40th anniversary edition of the Crop Life 100 listing. So to those folks who have returned their forms already, thank you very much. That's a little more than half of the 100. I have another dozen or so that basically say their numbers closed around the end of September, so they'll get something to me shortly thereafter. But for the other 35 folks that have not returned your forms, deadline is coming up on September 15th. So if it's sitting in your inbox and you haven't gotten to it, please do, because I going to need some time to go over these numbers and get them into our database. And I know this year, Laura, because it's the 40th anniversary, I had an open-ended question on there for folks to answer what their favorite or most important moment is over the last 40 years of business and / the Crop Life 100. So obviously when there's open-ended questions, you can't just point and click with the database. You actually have to input stuff. So since I'll be doing lots of typing, folks, please take it easy on me. Don't make me do all 17 or 70 forms all at once.
Yeah, with that kind of question, maybe that's why, there's a little bit of lag in responses, because people are like, wow, I think back 40 years, this is great. And you're going to get a small little novel with each one.
could be, of course, yeah, but we'll see. As I start compiling some of these, again, I haven't been in the office much. We'll be over in the next week or two, my travel ends for about a month. So should be able to actually get in the office, start digging through some of these forms and see what folks were saying and give a little sneak preview of that in an upcoming video. So
great. Awesome.
All right. Well, Miss Laura, time for your favorite segment of the show. Time for Fun with Numbers.
The real reason I got up this morning to do this recording. Can't miss that fun with numbers.
Well, yeah, and when I make that announcement too, I feel like Bob Barker, and the reason I'm mentioning his name, of course, is that he
Yes.
passed away, I think about a week and a half ago at the ripe old age of 99. So,
Yeah.
but yes, I could not replace Bob because I don't have the face. but nonetheless, so fun with numbers this week, Miss Laura. This
Yeah.
number may sound familiar, but it's not, I assure you. So this week, Miss Laura, your number is 53%.
All right.
So is 53%, is that A, the percentage of corn and soybean crops rated at good to excellent by USDA? Is it B, the percentage of U.S. soybeans that contain the enlist trait in 2023? Is it C, the drop in farmer sentiment over the past month? Or is it D, the percentage of my meals eaten at McDonald's drive-thrus on all of my most recent road trips? And when you're trying to make up time, dashboard dining is the only way to go, I have to say.
All right. Well, next time you hit the road, maybe I'll pack a little quinoa with kale for you so you can offset. Make sure you're
the reason I'm stopping McDonald's is a little cheeseburger holds perfectly in your hand as you're driving. Can't do that with a Big Mac. Can't do it with a Whopper. God knows I've tried. That is not a pretty sight. Quinoa, I think that also might be a little haphazard. So, I appreciate the thought.
Well, I think I'm torn between A and C. I think I'm going to go for a good guess and say C, the drop in farmer sentiment.
Oh, Miss Laura.
What? It's
No,
A.
and actually that was a trick because when they released the numbers for Purdue's study on farmer sentiment, it's based on a number like 100 and something. It's not a percentage. It's just so
Percentage of those they pulled.
so that was that was the one you should have easily been able to eliminate. No, the correct answer is A.
Is it A?
USDA released their crop report where they were ranking crop as good to excellent range. And for corn and soybean both, at the end of August, it was 53% for each. And both of those were down a few percentage points from earlier in the month of August. And the USDA report pointed out that those are the lowest percentages for corn and soybean at rating the crop at good to excellent since 2012. So it's been 11 years since we've had this late in the season numbers that low for the good to excellent range for the crop. So again, I know we've been talking a lot about the drought conditions that have hit a lot of the country, and apparently it seems like it's having an impact on the crop ratings as we're moving through into harvest season. So
wow. Well, at least I avoided B. So
yeah, and B, the number would have been 55%. I heard that
I knew
from
that.
the folks at Corteva when I was listening to them at the Farm Progress Show that that enlist trait is now the most popular soybean trait in the marketplace at 55%. So
Alrighty.
okay, well, better luck next week, I guess. So.
Yes, it's not a Barbie Ferrari, but maybe a Barbie horse and cart or something at this point. I think I've missed
Barbie horse and buggy. I missed the Barbie line targeted at the Amish community. I missed that one. So totally missed out on that when I was growing up. So but
well, there's always
again, I'm the wrong target audience no matter what. So all right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone, for this edition of Crop Life Retail Week. I'm Eric Sfiligoj. On behalf of myself, Lara Sowinski, and everyone here at Crop Life, thanks for joining us. We'll see you again soon. If you have questions or comments about today's episode of Retail Week, contact us by email or Twitter, or type your message in the comment section below. Your feedback is important to us. We will try our best to address your thoughts in next week's episode, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.